Hey everyone, hope you're having a fantastic Thanksgiving. Today we're going to talk about a company who's probably not having a fantastic Thanksgiving, and that is the shit show that is Binance currently. So what I want to do in this video is give you all the facts so you know exactly what's going on. Then I want to break down the charges that were leveled against the company and the CEO by the Department of Justice, and then I want to give you my thoughts on what this means for the company's future, because it is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, and what it means for cryptocurrency in general. So let's do just that. As always, my name is Derek, and I got my degree in finance, so you don't have to. Let's go over the facts. So first and foremost, the fines. So Binance, which is a huge company, was fined $4.3 billion for basically violating a federal law. And we will talk about the three charges that were leveled against it here in a second. On top of that, the CEO did plead guilty to criminal charges and agreed to step down as the CEO of the company. What's interesting is there's a caveat to this, and he doesn't have to step down as CEO forever. So I'll get to that in a second. Next, CZ, the CEO, will pay a $50 million fine personally. Now, this all kind of leads back to 2019. You have to understand that here in this country, in order to be able to operate, most of these cryptocurrency exchanges are registered as money transmitters. Binance is not, mostly because when you register as that, there's more legislation and there's less coins available to trade. So what Binance chose to do instead was to split into a second company known as Binance.us, which was registered as a money transmitter. The problem is they have a limited amount of coins to trade. So the main Binance platform is, by all intents and purposes, a better platform, quote unquote. And this will be very important when we talk about the second charge that was leveled against the company. Okay. Now that you know the basic facts, let's go over the charges. First, the first charge is failure to maintain a proper AML program, which is an anti-money laundering program on the platform. Basically, these companies have a requirement to do the bare minimum to make sure that money is not being laundered, or basically concealing where the money is coming from, mostly from illicit sources. Not only did Binance not have an AML program, really a functioning one, in place, but there's actually different occurrences of employees like literally telling known money launderers to be careful, basically. There's one instance where a known money launderer and their account was tied to illicit activities from the dark web, known as Hydra. And basically, they were told just to make a new account because this account is basically dirty, and to be more careful next time. That's literally what's happening. So Binance may have not been actually laundering money itself, but it kind of knew that it was being taken place on the platform, and it was basically telling these people to just, hey, be more careful so we don't catch you. On top of that, there's actually a quote from one of the employees, which I'm sure they said this jokingly, but now it's coming back to kind of bite them in the ass, and that is, the employee said, "Is washing money too hard? Well, then come to Binance because we have cake for you." So basically saying like there's no sort of anti-money laundering program in place. So that's the first charge leveled against the company and the CEO by the Department of Justice. The second one, which directly ties into the 2019 split into Binance.us, is conducting an unlicensed money transmitting business. Okay, now you might ask, well, I thought they split into two companies, so they were registered. Yes, they were. The problem is that they basically booted off everyone off of the main Binance platform and put them onto the Binance.us platform, except VIPs, basically large accounts. What they did is they actually helped these accounts conceal their identity and where they're located so they can remain on the main accounts. These were US-based accounts. So there are actually records of employees calling these clients directly on the phone so they didn't have to email them or text them and leave a paper trail to let them know that what they needed to do is basically create an offshore account, transfer money to that offshore account, and then add that money to the regular Binance platform. So they were literally helping large clients skirt the regulations and remain on the main platform. So you might as well have just not registered Binance.us in the first place. It basically kicked off all the smaller accounts and let the big accounts slide through. That's the second charge, and that's what relates directly to the 2019 split. The third charge is probably the scariest and like the most what the fuck charge. Okay, this is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Basically, what this is saying is that Binance was facilitating transactions between Binance users and sanctioned countries. So, for example, Iran. There is an estimated $890 million worth of transactions that took place between Binance users and Iran. On top of that, it only gets worse. There were also transactions between Binance users and Cuba, Syria, Ukraine, mostly occupied parts of Ukraine, North Korea, and terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda. So again, not directly, but indirectly, Binance was facilitating transactions to terrorist organizations. Another way of saying this is Binance was basically allowing the funding of terrorism. What the fuck? Okay, so those are the three charges that the Department of Justice has leveled against Binance, and that is what led to the $4.3 billion fine, as well as the CEO stepping down. Here's the interesting thing. Binance will not be shut down. It will continue to operate as the largest cryptocurrency exchange on the planet. And the more jarring thing is that CZ, the former CEO, is actually only barred from working at the company for 3 years. So that means technically in 3 years, he could come back as the CEO. In the meantime, Richard Tang, who was the former global head of regional markets, will take over. You also have to understand that CZ will remain a majority owner in the company and will remain a billionaire. So funding terrorism, skirting regulations, and basically not having proper money laundering in place, all those things are major, major crimes. Okay, and I understand that these have happened in the regular finance industry as well. But there are many, many backstops and regulations now in the regular finance industry. The problem with cryptocurrency is it is basically unregulated. So you do these three things, and basically you're still allowed to remain a majority shareholder. The company is still allowed to continue to operate, and there is a possibility that CZ comes back in 3 years and retakes the helms of the company. Quite interesting, and that's why some people are saying, well, this is the end to cryptocurrency, and other people are saying, what are you talking about? This is just a slap on the wrist, and it's actually a good sign for crypto in general because it means that the market will continue basically unbothered. I'll give you my thoughts here in a second. The other thing that I want to talk about is that there are still other charges being leveled against the company from the the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, as well as the Treasury Department. And there's also a civil suit from the SEC, basically for commingling customer funds with other trading firms owned by CZ. So that's very, very interesting. One of them is a civil suit. The other charges that are being leveled against them from the Futures Trading Commission as well as the Treasury Department basically say the same thing as the Department of Justice. So those are all conglomerized into one thing, and then the civil suit, we'll have to see what goes on with that. On top of that, we really don't know what's going to happen to CZ because the official sentencing is in February. Some people are saying he might serve some jail time. A lot of people are saying he probably won't serve any jail time, maybe just probation. So you basically have the leader of a company who is doing very illicit activities, who will not go to jail most likely, and on top of that, will be able to regain control most likely in 3 years. So this kind of begs the question, what happens to the rest of the cryptocurrency space? Does it move on unbothered, or is this a real problem and it might be the end for crypto? Well, I'm going to give you my thoughts on someone who's been here since before 2017. So we had a major crash in crypto 2017, 2018. I've been monitoring the market for quite some time, and I've been invested all the way back then, albeit a very small portion of my portfolio, because I am not one of the people who just dump a ton of money in things that are very, very risky. But I do think, and especially at the time, I thought that there was definitely potential for this industry, and I've seen the ups and downs of this industry, and I've seen that overall, over time, the main coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., tend to grow. Okay, so what are my thoughts? One, remember that this is an exchange and not the actual industry. So there's crypto coins and there's blockchain, and then there are facilitators like this who allow you to trade those coins. The major takeaway from this is, regardless of what happens to like FTX with that whole scandal and with Binance with this whole scandal, the actual cryptocurrency coins can remain safe if you just keep them off the exchange. So one of the most key tenets to this industry is to have your own wallet and to basically keep your own coins in your own possession. When you have coins on exchanges, you're basically putting yourself onto undue risk, because if these platforms go under, there's possibility that your coins will be lost. For example, even on major, more registered platforms like Coinbase, we've had the whole earn scandal, right? With Coinbase and Genesis Digital and that whole thing where people's money are trapped on there for the whole earn program. So even on like reputable exchanges, your coins are always at risk if they're on exchanges. So the best case scenario is to pull them off, put them in your own wallet, and hold them until you're ready to trade them. Then you can put them on an exchange and trade them. And then you take them off the exchange. So really, if you do that, your only major liability is the actual cryptocurrency space in general, and if you believe Ethereum or Bitcoin or any of these coins actually have utility, which I will say, it's been a long time, and we are still barely seeing any sort of utility on a global scale for these coins. So take that as you will, and just remember this is an extremely risky environment. But if you keep your coins on these exchanges, you are opening yourself up to added risk. Not just are you at risk of market forces, up and down movements, but you're also at risk that these exchanges go under and take your coins with you. Okay, so that's the main takeaway. Do I think that this is the end of the cryptocurrency industry? No. Do I think cryptocurrency, especially the big coins, will be around in 5-10 years? Yes. Can I foresee if they're going to be worth more or less in 5 or 10 years? No, and no one can. There are people with very strong convictions on both sides of the argument. You have people who I think Warren Buffett basically thinks it's useless and worthless. And then you have like people who own like tons and tons of these Bitcoins who believe that the market is only going up and that in 10, 20, 30, or 40 years, Bitcoin is going to be worth like $100,000 or $1 million per coin. So you have smart people on both sides of the aisle. The problem is there's no way to predict this with 100% certainty. So in my opinion, unless you are a very not risk adverse investor and you just have true conviction and you're going to go all in, unless that's you should really limit the amount of your portfolio or the percentage of your portfolio that's invested in this and other risky assets. But I don't think that this is necessarily the nail in the coffin for cryptocurrency. I don't even think it's the nail in the coffin for Binance. Binance is a huge company, and it most likely will pay this $4.3 billion fine and continue operating. The only negatives I see is that basically we don't really know the liability side to Binance. So if they do have money, but how many, and they basically claim to have one-to-one assets for all their clients. With that said, we don't know what their liabilities look like because there has still not been an official audit done on Binance. So if they have a ton of liabilities, they could be in weak financial shape, and this could take them out. Again, I can't predict the future, but I would guess that that's not going to happen, and they will continue to operate in some form or fashion. So I hope this video was helpful. And I hope it kind of enlightened you as to what's going on with Binance. It's a shit show. It's a mess right now. And we'll just have to see how it goes. We'll have to wait for the February sentencing to see what happens to ZZ, if he serves jail time or not. And we'll have to see if the market trucks on or if it completely implodes, which I don't think it will. As always, my name's Derek, and I got my degree in finance. You don't have to. If you like personal finance, world economics, things like this broken down simply, you are in the right place. So please consider subscribing if you haven't already. This is a relatively new YouTube channel, and it's something that I'm passionate about, and I want to continue to share with you guys. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification so you don't miss the next video. Usually, videos are on Tuesdays, but sometimes I'll do a video Wednesday, Thursday, Friday if something important needs to be talked about. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I hope you have an awesome, happy holiday season, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.